All right, so let's get right into it. Today we're talking about a really wild rivalry, one between two of the absolute titans in modern Black American thought, Tariq Nasheed and Dr. Umar Johnson. Now, here's the thing. Both of these guys are, fighting for Black empowerment. That's their whole mission. And yet, they've become these bitter public enemies. It's fascinating.
So you got to ask yourself, right? How in the world does that even happen? You've got two major voices, supposedly on the same team, but they're locked in this incredibly fierce public battle. To really get it, to understand what's going on, we have to dig deep into the core of what each man actually believes.
All right, let's break it down. First up, you've got Tariq Nasheed. His whole thing is what he calls Foundational Black Americans, or FBA, and it's all about lineage. The argument is pretty straightforward. If you can trace your family back to ancestors enslaved right here on American soil, you are part of a very specific group. A group that, in his view, has a unique claim and needs to organize separately to demand what's owed, and only to them.
And then, on the complete other side of the spectrum, you've got Dr. Umar Johnson. His philosophy is global, it's Pan-African. He puts it simply, we are one family. For Dr. Umar, the fight is a worldwide struggle against white supremacy. So the idea of breaking up that global family into these smaller separate groups, to him, that's not just wrong, it's a huge strategic blunder. And right there, that's the clash. That's the key to this entire feud.
Okay, so who are these guys, really? To get the conflict, you first got to understand their public personas, their brands, if you will. Because let me tell you, they're both absolute masters of media, but man, they play the game in totally different ways. And you can see it right away. Nasheed, he literally calls himself the world's #1 race baiter. He uses his Hidden Colors film series and his, let's say, provocative online presence to really push that FBA movement. Dr. Umar, though, he's the prince of Pan-Africanism. Totally different vibe. He's all about these fiery lectures and, of course, his famous and controversial project to build the FDMG Academy for boys. So yeah, two completely different approaches, but both are incredibly effective at grabbing a huge audience.
And that difference in style, it flows right into their big ideological split. Look, this isn't just two guys who don't like each other. No, this is a deep, fundamental disagreement about how you even define the community they're both trying to uplift.
So let's get crystal clear on FBA. It is all about a lineage-based identity. The idea is that the specific horror of U.S. chattel slavery created a unique group, a unique political class. So, from the FBA perspective, if you start lumping their struggle in with, a recent Black immigrant from Nigeria or Jamaica, you're actually diluting their very specific claim for justice. And that's especially true when we're talking about the big one, reparations.
And then Dr. Umar's Pan-Africanism comes in as a direct response to that. It's an ideology of global unity, pure and simple. The logic is, colonialism and white supremacy weren't just an American thing. They were global systems. So that means everyone of African descent, in the US, the Caribbean, Africa, Europe, wherever, is in the exact same fight. So from that point of view, the FBA's laser focus on American lineage isn't just wrong, it's dangerously divisive.
And you know where the rubber really meets the road on this? The issue of reparations. I mean, it doesn't get clearer than this. For Nasheed and FBA, you ask, who gets reparations? The answer is simple and exclusive. Only foundational Black Americans. Period. It's a specific debt for a specific crime. But for Dr. Umar, that is way too narrow. He sees reparations as a global debt, a restitution owed to all African people everywhere for the international crime of colonialism. You can see how there's basically zero middle ground there.
But, and this is where things get really interesting, despite this huge unbridgeable gap between them, if you actually look a little closer, you'll find some really surprising things that these two rivals are in complete agreement on.
I mean, they agree on a ton of big stuff. Both are obviously vehemently against white supremacy. Both are huge advocates for Black economic independence. They both share this deep, deep distrust of the political system, Democrats and Republicans, and they're always critiquing what they call the Black establishment. And maybe most importantly, both of them hold pretty socially conservative views on family and gender roles. And that last one is key because it makes their massive split on other things feel even more dramatic,
So, if they agree on so much, what on earth happened? Well, this is the part of the story where a disagreement over ideas just completely exploded into open warfare. It went from a professional debate to a nasty, personal, and very, very public feud.
And it happened fast. It's actually kind of wild to think about now, but Dr. Umar was in Tariq's first Hidden Colors movie. They were cool, but by the end of 2017, everything had changed. Tensions had been building, and then Dr. Umar just went on social media and announced the gloves are off. Tariq's response? An absolute barrage of insults. This whole thing got nicknamed the Ashy Wars online, and honestly, it's never really stopped.
And when I say it got nasty, I mean it got brutal. Nasheed went straight for the jugular. He went after Dr. Umar's most sensitive project, the FDMG Academy that's been in the works for years. He didn't just disagree with him, he called him a fraud, a con artist, using the most offensive language you can imagine. He attacked his weight, his looks, his personal integrity. Nothing was off limits.
And Dr. Umar, he fired right back. He went after Nasheed's authenticity. He called him a Twitter pimp, which is a pretty powerful accusation. He was basically saying, you're not a real activist. You just stir up drama online to make money. It was a classic, you're a grifter comeback, throwing the exact same type of accusation right back in Nasheed's face.
And just to be super clear, this wasn't just some keyboard warrior stuff. It actually, shockingly, escalated to threats of real physical violence. We're talking about two leaders in the community posting videos daring each other to come find me. They were talking about handling it in the streets. It was just a bizarre, stunning turn of events that frankly left a lot of their own supporters shaking their heads.
Okay, so after all that, all the drama, all the insults, why are we even talking about them? Why do they still matter so much? Well, because despite the personal beef, you just can't deny their massive influence on the entire conversation around Black identity and politics today.
At the end of the day, their legacies are secure, just in different ways. You've got Tariq Nasheed, who used his whole new Black media machine to drag the conversation about lineage and reparations right into the mainstream. Seriously, that whole lineage versus diaspora debate you see everywhere online, he's a huge reason that that's even a thing. And then you have Dr. Umar, who's more of a traditionalist with his lectures and rallies. He's managed to make Pan-Africanism cool again for a younger generation, connecting them back to historical giants like Marcus Garvey. Love him or hate him, they have both fundamentally shaped the landscape of modern Black thought.
Which leaves us with the big question, right? Is this whole fight, lineage versus unity, is it a necessary argument we have to figure out the best way forward? Or is it just a destructive distraction? A family feud that ultimately just hurts the larger goal of Black empowerment? That's the real question, and I think the jury is still very much out on that one.